old power bank of mine can charge my new phone not more than one time, and it charges it very slow. But a 20,000 mAh power bank can charge your phone almost 4 to 5 times. So in this video today, I'm going to be testing India's top 4 fast charging power banks, and I'm going to be doing some interesting tests with them, like how much time it takes to charge an Android phone or an iPhone, and also which power bank takes the minimum time to get fully charged. So let us start the video here. And we have taken these power banks on the basis of their top ratings and great reviews. And these power bank brands are MI, Urban, Ambrain and Redmi. So if I talk about the design here, so with MI and Redmi, you get around 15 centimeters of height. But if I talk about Urban and Ambrain, you get around 13 to 14 centimeters of height. And if I talk about width here, all the power banks are having around 2.5 centimeters of width. And if I talk about the build quality of these power banks, then MI, Redmi and Ambrain are having very good build qualities. But if I talk about the Urban, the build quality and the finishing is slightly average as compared to others. So if I talk about the weight here, MI and Redmi are having slightly more weight, which is around 436 grams. But if I talk about the Urban and Ambrain, it is having around 400 grams of weight, although which is a very minor difference. And if I talk about the ports here, then in MI, Urban and Ambrain, you get USB-C port, which you can use for power input and power output. But the USB-C port you get in Redmi, you can only use it for power input. And along with that, you also get micro USB port in MI, Urban and Redmi, which you can use for power input as well. And with all the power banks, you get two USB-A ports for power output. And if I talk about the charging speed of all these power banks, you get around 18 to 20 watts for power input and power output with all the power banks. So with all the power banks, you get minimum 12 layers of security, which makes all the power banks quite safe to use. And if we talk about the pricing here, you get all the power banks around the range of 1500 rupees. So let's start our first test here, which is Android phone charging test. So for doing this test, we have taken these 4 Android phones, which we have discharged completely to zero, and we'll be charging these phones till 50% with all these power banks, and the battery of all the phones here is around 4500 mAh. So let's start the test here. So after 5 minutes, you can see here, all the power banks are performing quite similar and they have charged their phones almost around 4 to 5%. So let's now continue the test, which power bank is performing the best. So even after 15 minutes, you can see all the power banks are performing almost similar and they have charged their phones around 16 to 18%, which is a good charging speed. So let's continue the test here till 50% and find out which power bank finishes the first. So here you can see all the phones have charged till 50% and all the power banks have performed quite good and similar, as they have charged the phone till 50% in around 15 minutes of time, which is a good charging speed. So let's start our next test here, which is an iPhone charging test. And for doing this test, we have taken these 4 iPhone 12s and we have discharged them completely to zero. And we'll be charging them till 50% and we'll see which power bank finishes the first. So now let's start the test. So you can see here all the iPhones are now charged till 50%, and in this test MI, Urban and Ambrain have performed really good as they've charged all the phones within 30 minutes. But here the performance of Redmi was slightly average as it took almost 41 minutes to charge the iPhones till 50%. And this is because you don't get a USB-C power output with this power bank. So now let's start our next test, which is power bank charging test. So for doing this test, we have taken this MI 18 watt charger, and from these chargers, we'll be charging all the power banks till 100%. So let's start the test now. And here we'll be checking all the power banks in every 2 hours intervals, and we'll see which one is performing the best. So after 2 hours, let's check how much all power banks have got charged. So after 2 hours, we can see here 2 out of 4 lights have now turned on for all the power banks, which means all the power banks have now charged to 50%. So now let's continue the test and check at 4 hours which power bank is performing the best. So after 4 hours, you can see here Urban, Ambrain and Redmi have charged till 75%, but the charge of MI here is still slightly below 75%. So now let's continue the test and see which power bank here takes the minimum time to get fully charged. So now you can see here all the power banks are now fully charged till 100%, and here MI and Redmi has performed the best as they got fully charged within a span of 5 hours 40 minutes. But if I talk about the Urban and Ambrane power bank here, they took almost 7 hours to get fully charged, which is slightly more time compared to the other two. And along with this test, we also performed a heat test with all the power banks. And in that test, all the power banks temperature was under 40 degrees Celsius, which means all the power banks are quite safe to use. So after a personal observation of all these tests, I would like to recommend you MI power bank here, because it performed great in all the tests, and it was not just having the fastest charging speed, it also took least amount of time to get fully charged. And if I talk about all other power banks, they also performed good and they did not have any major drawbacks. So if you found this video helpful and you don't want to miss more interesting videos like this, then do subscribe our channel. Also, if you have any doubts or any product suggestions, do let us know in the comments below. So to find out the best iPhone fast charger, check out the video here. And if you want some awesome must-have iPhone accessories, you can check out the video here. So thank you for now. I will see you in the next video.